Hour 2 Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, Jamie Noodles McLennan, Jonas Siegel. We've got Kent Johnson coming up later in the hour from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Jackets Leafs tomorrow night, and Mike Johnson coming up here in a moment. Jonas, you were down at the skate today, and not surprisingly, Craig Berube was asked for a status update on Jake McCabe and David Kampf, and he said day-to-day. Day-to-day. Can't
doesn't
really
know when they're coming.
Couldn't possibly tell anyone any more than that.
That's been his motto the whole year.
The whole season. Why don't we play it? All right, I don't want to put words in his mouth. Here's Craig, I was going to say Button, Craig Berube on the injury status of these two players.
Right now, I'd say day-to-day. I can't really comment on that too much about how long it's going to be.
Okay. There you go.
Do you think the doctors, when he asked when they'll be back, we just don't know. It could be any day. It could be tomorrow. It could be 3 weeks from now.
Everything's day to day.
Right.
I have no idea, man. How could we possibly know? It's day to day.
You think you're going to get anything more as the playoffs approach? It's going to be.
Remember
even
last
worse.
year, Noodles, in the playoffs? It was crazy.
Well, the Nylander
stuff was absurd. They were like, he might play tomorrow. It's like, he's not playing tomorrow.
No, they knew
but
he
it was
wasn't
insane.
playing.
But going back and watching that, what was it on Prime or whatever that was, Amazon, that special following him around? It was ridiculous. He's sitting on a couch watching the games, and he had headaches, and I don't even know what his issue was, but I mean, in the end, they could have used him, and he's sitting there, and his buddies are in town, and it was the weirdest vibe that I got, because you're right, he's not able to play, but he's watching the games, and that must kill a player, right? You're just sitting there going, geez, I could be helping this. I could be out there, and he wasn't. And then the Joseph Woll was even more insane, because Nylander, we were like, okay, there's an injury, there's something going on there. Joseph Woll skated that morning, did he not, for Game 7?
Yeah, well, and how about Matthews?
Yeah, Matthews in the middle. It was Willie to start, then Matthews in the middle, and then Joseph Woll Game 7. Your number one
Crazy.
Center, your
highest
first or
scoring
second
winger.
scoring winger, exactly, and then your starting goaltender, all over one series. And they still were up 1-0 in the third period of Game 7, which is crazy, and they lose in overtime. And you're right, the Matthews one was the Willie one was crazy, because that kind of came out of nowhere, because they were they were down the stretch. It was like you're playing Boston, you're starting in Boston. He was chasing points, right? He was chasing 100 points.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how they're going to approach the rest of this year. Marner is on pace for 100.
Yeah.
He has not hit it yet, and he's never hit it before. Does he play? Do they shut him down? Is Willie chasing 45 goals? Is that something that matters to him? I'm not sure.
I think it'll be division-based, right? If they can still win the title, I think that's all.
You're playing. You got to play everyone.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, until that's settled.
Play for that. Yeah, I think that's what's on the table, and after that, then you make personal decisions. And I don't even think
they don't have that. They can't do anything. They're so tight with. They have no space to do anything.
Available in the cap hit and all that kind of stuff.
But I just don't think, obviously with the injuries last night, you're going to see 2 new players in the lineup tomorrow. I didn't see the lineup. I was flying today, but what I'm assuming, not Pacioretty.
No, it's Robertson and Myers, and they don't have anybody else.
Right, exactly.
Well, I saw Reeves is playing for the Marlies, right?
Yeah, but they can't call him up.
No,
even if they wanted to.
I saw a video of him and how he circumvented the visor rule. He's got a visor on. He's got the Leo Komarov. Remember Leo Komarov's visor was
the top of the helmet.
Yeah.
It's weird seeing him cruising around in that Marley gear, but yeah, I mean, once they get to the playoffs, then you can expand, right? And at that point, there's no cap, and they'll have some reinforcements. Again, Pacioretty, Hakanpää, we've talked about them. Who knows if and when they'll be available? But yeah, they're up against it. And Robertson goes back in, and I think they were moving past him in terms of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I think it had been pretty clear that he had that chance. I think it was in San Jose the last time he played. Had that. I remember that one shift in particular, a couple of bad turnovers, then a bad stick penalty. Toffoli, I think, scored to make it 3-1. And watching it live, I'm like, that's it. I think he's in big trouble. And he came out against LA, stayed out against Anaheim, didn't play against Florida. He hasn't played since. So I think Robertson probably understands that, if everyone's healthy, he's not playing. But you're playing now, like you're in tomorrow night. And if Camp is going to be injured for a while and Pacioretty's not available, then he could be playing in that Florida swing. It's a big opportunity, I guess, for him maybe to get out of the doghouse if that's possible. But the McCabe injury is the significant one. Like, right. McCabe has been playing top pair minutes with Tanev against the opponent's best teams. He starts in his own zone all the time. He kills penalties. He's a heart and soul guy. We don't have any info on what the injury actually was or what the actual details
Berube was
are.
asked how it happened by, I think, Masters.
Yeah.
No idea.
I don't even. Yeah, he's like, I didn't even see it. I don't even know how it happened or what happened.
It's amazing. He acts like he's actually like a spectator. Yeah. Like he literally acts like. But that's how. He's good at that.
But
and
he
plays
knows what happened to Jake McCabe. I mean, come on.
Of course, the trainer will come to him and say
during the
he's
game.
Out. He tweaked this. He's out in between periods. Coaches will come into the training room and go, "Are you all right?" Talk to the doctor. What's he dealing with? He's gone. The rest of you get injury reports. He knows everything, every detail, but it's his job to not share it with us, which is fine.
It's a job. It's not his job. It's a choice.
Yeah, it's a choice. And
okay, but do we know of? Okay, this is a better question. Is there any coach, GM, anything that you know of is the most transparent? Who would be known as the most transparent from that standpoint?
It doesn't exist in this league. Every other league, it's like mandated. You have
Jimmy
to
Rutherford would be my only guy.
Oh, yeah.
Rutherford will, in certain scenarios, and you're right, where he will be blunt and be like, well, we got to do this, or that's going to have to happen.
Got to trade one of my goalies. He was on our show talking about he was going to have to trade one of his goalies.
Right. And that did end up happening. He traded Matt Murray, I think it was.
Yes, it was.
That was when he was in Pittsburgh. You're right. Rutherford, to an extent, I guess there are maybe some guys.
There's not many, though. There's nobody,
many,
really.
Man. Not many. Here's Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst. Without knowing the exact details, the idea of Jake McCabe being out for the rest of the regular season, if that's on the table, and it can be because, again, the Leafs aren't going to say anything, how might that affect the chase for the 1 seed in the Atlantic?
I mean, that's not good. They have a good defense core. They like their group. They don't have a ton of depth. And I think the way the parts kind of fit together, it seemingly only works best one way. And that's with McCabe and Tanev, Carlo and Rielly, Ekman Larsson, and Benoit or whoever's going to be back there with him. So you take one of those pieces away, and now Ekman Larsson's got to play further up in the lineup. I think we've seen he's given good value. Ekman Larsson's been really good for Toronto for what you would expect him to be. The more you ask him to play, the more minutes, the tougher minutes, the better competition. The more you occasionally will see a blip in his game that you wouldn't see from the other guys. So yeah, it's they're getting some help right now with beating Florida themselves, with Tampa losing last night in a game that they probably should have beat Ottawa in. So they're in a good spot. They probably need to win, 5 of the remaining games to get there. They play both teams next week. But he's really important. Him and Tanev are really, really important for everything that they do, like from the way that the coach uses them, the assignments, the penalty kill, all of it. And if he's not good for any stretch of time, that is bad news for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And I guess Ekman Larsson will be the one that will move up. But then you got Benoit and Myers. So I don't think it's the worst idea to get Myers some play down the stretch because of what you were just saying, Jonas. Like they are capped out. They are bodied out effectively. Like Robertson will go in, Myers goes in. But if Hakanpää is never going to be an option, we talked about this I think earlier this week, Johnny. But those guys, they're the guys who are going to go in. Like, there's going to be injuries. Like, Myers, if you're going to go on a run, Myers is going to play in the playoffs. Like, that's going to happen. And I would guess Robertson will play in the playoffs if Pacioretty's not available. And Hakanpää, like I said, I don't think it's the silver lining could be you get these guys a little bit of play down the stretch now that everything's amplified.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean,
it's not perfect, but I mean, you got to make something out of this,
right? Like, where's the silver lining? You're going to get guys who otherwise wouldn't be playing, and you're going to have Myers who would have been sitting there for what, a month, 6 weeks without having played a game, and then now he'll get to go in and play a few and get comfortable and get up to speed with the intensity and everything else. So if he has to jump in Game 5, it maybe seems less daunting. But I don't know what value you put on winning the division. I've put quite a bit on it, but who knows? It's not going to help having McCabe out for any stretch of time. No matter getting Myers, Tacchet, you talked about. I mean, I guess they're capped out. They can't even bring up Marshall Rafai, which is probably the guy they would want to bring up. It's tough. Now, listen, talk to Florida with Barkov out and Tkachuk out and everything else. Like this is what happens. Teams talk to Edmonton with McDavid out, Draisaitl hurt again. This is how it goes. Guys get hurt on occasion, and it's tough sledding. But this guy in particular for Toronto was, on the back end. There's two guys that they really, really didn't want to lose, and that's one of the two of them.
So, Johnny, let's just say they are going for the division, which I do believe they are and should be. And it is a dogfight right for the last 7 games. How many games do you think Anthony Stolarz plays?
Good question, Noodles. I think he probably plays 5. I don't have the schedule right in front of me, but I don't think they have back-to-backs.
They got 2 of them
along the way.
They got 2 of them.
They have 2 sets. Tuesday they have what? Tuesday, Wednesday, Florida, Toronto. So they'll split that one this week, right?
And then Saturday, Sunday, Montreal at Carolina the next week.
Okay, they'll split those. So 5. I think they'll give those 2 to Wall, depending on the standings. If the standings stretch out to 4 or 5 points, Noodles, then it's probably 4 and 3. If it stays kind of really tight, where a win here or there could swing it, then I think he probably plays 5. I think, Berube's gone back and forth publicly. He's talked about, I want a starter. And then, last week he said, well, you never know. Rotation could work because they are both playing well. I still think he wants a starter. I still think that starter is likely to be Stolarz.
Well, so Mike, I've been spending way too much time thinking about this because it could change after game 1 or game 2. But I just don't know what where I've ended up today, and I'll probably change my opinion next week. I don't know what the case is for Wall. I just think I'm at the point now.
He's done it before more than Stolarz. That's it, right?
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, because better season is Stolarz, better second half is Stolarz. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's it. Wall has looked really comfortable jumping into tough situations in the playoffs, right? In years past. So that is where you would maybe lean to him. But Stolarz is older, he's experienced. He won a cup last year. I know he didn't play, but he was around it. He saw the prep. He felt the tension and all that stuff. He's been the better of the two. That's not to say that Wall hasn't been good. Certainly the second half, maybe not quite as good as the first half. But Wall's been really good, solid, really good. But, yeah. And even more so, Jonas, that, if you think about Stolarz starting, and if you have to make a change, you're going to put Wall back in a situation where you already have seen him have success. He's already come off the bench in the playoffs and be good. So I don't think you would be hesitant to do that again. Whereas Stolarz, you've never seen that because he's never done that.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at. Woll has 4 playoff starts. Stolarz has 0.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of, ground zero for both of them. And, in essence, but, I believe tomorrow night will be Stolarz's 30th start of the season. He's played in 30, but last game was his 29th. So if you're talking about another 4 or 5 games, he'll have played or have started 35. The biggest challenge for me and for anybody, just laying it out there, is if they want to go deep into the playoffs and get into 20-some games, playing every second day for the most part, obviously there would be a little break in between series, but that's a lot of games for a guy who's never had that regardless. So I still believe both of these guys are going to play in the playoffs. I don't know what it's going to look like. I can't predict it, but I think Stolarz is the guy, but I don't know if the leash is super long.
How long do you think it is? Is it 2 games?
Well, Jonas, it's context.
Yeah.
Because you know what?
If he gives up 8 in game 1, it's is he starting game 2?
So if they lose 1-0 in triple overtime, you don't go, we got to go to the other guy because this guy lost. You're so to me, everything is context tied to it. And they don't have a clear cut Bobrovsky, Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, Hellebuck, you name it. So it is going to be, kind of play it by ear type of thing, I believe, because that's what tandem situations do until somebody separates. I don't know how that can be any different heading into the playoffs.
I guess you're hoping that the reason why Wool has to play is because they played so long that Stolarz is getting tired, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, they're into the third round. They're into their 18th game. Like, oh, maybe, he looks not quite as sharp. We'll get the other guy in there. That would be the ideal, not 2 games in, he's had a tough night. Considering, I just brought this up, I only know I think I'm doing the game on the Thursday night, whatever that day is a month, the 17th. As a Thursday, so 2 weeks yesterday. That's the last game of the regular season.
Right.
Toronto's playing Detroit at home that night. We have that game on TSN. It could be for the division. I think they start their season, their playoffs, on the Saturday, like on the 19th, 2 days later.
We've gone back and forth on that. Noodles has heard different things
heard
through
Monday,
the grapevine.
The 21st, but again, I don't know
Really?
because, well, again, Johnny, you talk to a lot of execs, I do too, but it's more in the end. I think there's a game on the 18th in the NHL. It's a makeup. It's a Calgary, LA, in which
that's the Fire game.
That apparently has jammed a lot of things up. And it sounds like maybe even Saturday they only get one series started, and then you start Sunday and Monday, and then you want to stagger. Don't you think if you are the networks who own it, you would probably in Canada want to stagger Toronto and Edmonton, McDavid and
I'd say Toronto, Montreal would be the
Toronto, Montreal, the East would be the stagger.
Yeah. Okay.
And Noodles, for the record, LA Calgary is on the Thursday as well. There's no games on Friday.
Okay.
There's nothing on Friday.
There you go.
Okay, so there you go.
I was under the impression that, it'll be a tight turnaround, and they'll take that into consideration depending on travel and everything else. But if you're Toronto, you're starting at home, right? You'll know that prior to, and you're like, okay, so they play Thursday at home, they're going to play Saturday at home. Because I think they're going to want Saturday night to be the Leafs, right? For obvious reasons in Canada.
Yes.
So and it's just worth considering that sometimes you get 3 full off days before the next playoff series starts. The Leafs might have one. And there's a very small chance it could even be a travel day if they finish third. So that is also worth factoring in when you think about Stolarz and his workload and all the players and their workload and their health, because the turnaround is real quick. There's no getting healthy. There's no bumps and bruises healing in 24 hours before they get going on their first day of the playoffs.
Right.
Where does Tampa rank for you right now in terms of cup contenders?
High. Completely high. They're being slept on way more than they should be, given their track record and everything else. Like, we know one of the very cursory baseline, Jonas, don't roll your eyes, metrics of looking at good teams is just goal differential.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're killing it.
And guess who's second in the entire league? Tampa. Tampa's got a better goal differential than Washington. Right? It's only Winnipeg. They got a better goal differential than Dallas, than Colorado, than Vegas. They're killing that number. Now, I get it. They lose close games. They win big because they're explosive, whatever. I think they are just quietly so comfortable with what's going on. Focus on Florida. Focus on Toronto. We'll just roll along and be ready to go. An underreported story beyond Tampa has been the return to elite form of Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
I think he spent a couple of years with, not quite as good with the back and everything else. Probably pretty understandable. He won't win the Vezina. It's going to Hellebuck. He'll probably be a Vezina finalist. He's been that good this year, and nobody talks about how excellent he has been. So you put Vasilevsky, you put that first line, you put the added depth. They still have Hedman and Chernak. McDonough's been great there. All that experience, the head coach that has won it, and they are dangerous. They are at the... I don't know what if you go in the tranches, Hayes, is there the top 2 or 3 or 4 teams? It feels like there's about top 8 teams, and they would be sort of in the top half of the top 8 teams that could win it.
Well, Mike, I was just going to say, the guy you didn't mention who you referred to is Kucherov. And I was wondering, where do you put him on your Hart Trophy ballot? He's second in the league in points now. You mentioned how good they've been. He's obviously the stir of the drink in so many different ways. What do you do with him?
The Hart is fascinating, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think Leon still deserves it.
Yeah.
If it's going to be a positional player, Noodles will get into the goalie conversation in a second.
No, I get you. Yeah.
But I think if it's going to be a positional player, I still think it's Leon. He's got 21 more goals than Nathan McKinnon. A few less points, but he's got almost as many even strength points. He's got 19 more goals than Kucherov. And he does it without playing with McDavid. So I think you have to probably put Hellebuck there this year in some capacity. I think Draisaitl is a position player that deserves it. And then you got to have a conversation about McKinnon, Kucherov, and maybe Cale Makar.
Yeah.
Might he be the third positional player, or fourth, I guess, to go along with McKinnon, Draisaitl, Kucherov. It's not whoever else is up there. It's not Eichel. It's not Marner, Connor, McDavid, or it's none of those guys. It might be Makar and then Hellebuck, and that's the three leading scorers. But I think Kucherov, I don't know. He's a winger. He hasn't scored quite as many goals. I don't know. Him and McKinnon, it's a toss-up.
But what if he wins the Art Ross? Like, what do we do then? Does that matter?
Then good congratulations to him. I don't think it's changed as much on Draisaitl.
Yeah. No, I don't think I'd have him first, but he
might get to a finalist position if he wins the Art Ross. He might bump McKinnon if he gets scoots ahead of him. But I think it's a two kind of player race right now is Draisaitl and Hellebuck.
He had 7 shots on goal last night, and I didn't think he had a great game, which is insane for me to say it. I'm like, he is so casual out there. And I don't know if you saw the metrics last night, Johnny. They had 29 high danger chances. But the game is so easy. The game comes to him, and then he just slows it down, and he's never at high speed, and he was bumbling some pucks on the power play, and kind of he wasn't dialed in, but he was putting it on a tee for Gensel and for Point and for Hedman. It was just ridiculous to watch him play, and he didn't have his A stuff. And he had 7 shots on goal last night, just for fun. It is weird to watch. The other stat that I just found out last night, where I should have been on top of, Brandon Hagel has 34 even strength goals. He doesn't have a power play goal this season.
No PPGs, no.
Which is insane because, you're right. That team, and I've been on Tampa for a while. I liked them at the start of the year, just the way they were built. But it was Vasilevsky that, Jonas hates his guts. I don't know why. It's a personal thing.
Can't stand him.
And Hayes backed it up, though. I will say this. I wasn't on the show, and I had to come back on the show and try and defend Vasilevsky because apparently they had a Vasilevsky,
hate-a-thon.
Well, we were stating facts.
Yeah, we were.
Leafs torched them a couple years ago, and then he had injury issues and the surgery and stuff.
No,
he had a couple years there where it wasn't great.
100%.
Yeah,
I don't disagree.
You got to just call a spade, man.
It is. Yeah.
He's been great. He's been phenomenal. I remember saying when he went to the 3 straight Cup Finals, I think you need to start talking, or we collectively in the community need to start considering him maybe the most clutch goalie of all time.
That's
and maybe
true,
the greatest playoff performer of all time. When you consider what he did, where he never missed a game, and his stats coming off losses, insane.
Or what was it, Hayes? Didn't he get a shutout in 6 or 7 consecutive series clinching games?
Yeah, exactly.
Obscene stuff. And he went through a couple of years, probably largely based on physical ailments, where he wasn't as good, and he wasn't good in the playoffs. The Leafs, when they beat him, their goalie was way better than Vasilevsky. When they've had success against Tampa, they've made Vasilevsky look less than the first ballot Hall of Famer he is. But this year is not that year. This year he is right there with everyone but Hellebuck. In fact, he's probably the best of anyone but Hellebuck. So that would be alarming for another reason. Again, all respect to Ottawa. You don't want Florida and you don't want Tampa. They both pose challenges for different reasons. And that's not to say it's just Ottawa will be easy, because they won't. They got a pretty good goalie of their own. But if you're asking me which one I think they have a better chance against, it's probably against Ottawa.
Yeah, all day. Yeah. You punch your ticket, play Ottawa, and you see where it goes.
Take your chances.
I'm speaking for Toronto and Tampa and Florida. They all would see it the same way. Yeah. They're all seeking that position. All right, Johnny, we'll leave it there. Have a great weekend.
All right, fellas. Have a good weekend.
There's Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. All right, we will track the Blue Jays and what's going on with them this afternoon down at Citi Field. It doesn't look great for the Jays right now. That more still to come just after 6 o'clock. Dear Hazy be in about an hour. Kent Johnson coming up of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Columbus in town tomorrow playing the Leafs. So we'll catch up with him as well. And we got Jonas in here, Noodles. I'm Bryan Hayes. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Mail-In Friday brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. Enjoy $15 lunch at BP, where you get an entree, a side, and a drink, and you'll get it all in 20 minutes or less. Fast lunch doesn't have to be fast food. See you for a $15 fast lunch at your local Boston Pizza. And I wonder if there's a Boston Pizza in Trail, BC.
Trail? Yeah, that's where Ray grew up.
The home of Ray Ferraro, and also where Kent Johnson played 3 years in the BCHL for the Trail Smoke Eaters.
That's one of the greatest names.
Great handle, the Smoke Eaters.
Yeah,
and that's the team that Ray built, man. I'm guessing he played for that team. I mean, maybe they had a different name back in the day.
No, they've always been the Smoke Eaters, I believe. That's like a legendary. Like around that area, it's legend. Trail's a gritty little city.
Oh, I picture that barn just being an absolute pit stop on the tour for the BCHL. What does that rink look like on a Friday night in Trail, BC? I'd like to know. I'd love to know. So we'll catch up with Kent here in a moment. We'll get the answer straight from him.
Yeah.
Right?
They probably, it's probably been outlawed, but I guarantee you it'd probably be one of the last rinks they outlawed smoking in the rink. You know, something like that. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
It's a gritty rink. That league is all business. And
the BCHL?
Oh, yeah. It's
Does
awesome.
it sneak into Alberta at all?
Well, now they've had some crossover with the AJ and the BCHL. So it's, but yeah, the Trail Smoke Eaters, legendary.
Okay. Well, yeah, man, this guy, Kent put up some pretty good numbers. You know, his last year there in 2019-2020, 41 goals, 101 points. I'll bet you Ray scored 100 goals on that team. If he scored 108 goals in the WHL, I got to think Ray probably owns a lot of records for that team.
He might be.
Columbus in town playing the Leafs tomorrow night on Hockey Night. Here he is from the Trail Smoke Eaters and the Columbus Blue Jackets, Kent Johnson. How you doing, Kent?
I'm good. Love the intro. Love you guys talking about Trail.
Absolutely. I mean, because Ray Ferraro comes on with us all the time, and Ray is, I'm sure you're aware of Ray, and Ray probably tells you all about his records whenever you meet up with Ray.
Ray's pretty humble actually, but no, I've heard all about his records and the boys when we played in Trail. I had met Ray at that time, and we all kind of talked about him and how legendary he was in the city for hockey. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, what's that rink like? Noodles, you have kind of a recollection to an extent of it being a really gritty rink.
I just feel like I feel like it might have been the last rink that allowed smoking inside the rink, but maybe not. I might be mistaking it, but a lot of those gritty little rinks, they don't mess around.
Yeah, no, I think you got a good description, but no, I love playing there. The ice was unreal always, and the boards are a little bit more rectangular, not too round, which is kind of funny. And I think you'd get some bad bounces off the boards. They call it Kamiko bounces. So, but yeah, it was unreal. Such a fun atmosphere, great fans. So it was always fun to play there.
Yeah, that would throw you off, Noodles, if you're in net.
Well,
you're on the
you imagine
road.
you can plan your power play around a weird corner, like the cross corner dump in, but it's going to go right to the middle of the net or something like that. If the boards are not rounded, they're squared off.
I love that. Just a dump and chase. It comes right back at you. It doesn't ring around the boards.
Yeah, it was hard to rim it, actually. I remember back then I never rimmed pucks because you couldn't really do it at home, so it was funny.
That's great. Well, you guys, you're having a really fun season for us to track. You guys score 1 million goals seemingly every night, and you're having a career year. You're up to 22 goals. That's a career year for you, 50 points. What has clicked so well for you in particular this year, Kent?
Yeah, I think just, our team as a whole, obviously, the new staff coming in been great, and just the guys gelling together. And, obviously, I think a lot of guys, taking next steps in their careers. Obviously we're a young team, so I think that's kind of what's natural and what you hope for as a young guy, like including myself. So, yeah, it's been good.
At one point, I feel like Marchenko had like 20 goals and 1 assist, and now he's rounded out his assist game. But, speak to how good of a player some of these young guys are on your team. I mean, you've been fantastic. You're only, 22 years old, and a guy like Sean Monahan, who's been a veteran guy, he's come in and stabilized. But you've got some skill. Fantilli's a local guy here, and he's been great. So is it kind of you're all kind of growing up together and kind of hitting your stride early in your careers?
Yeah, no, it definitely feels that way. And, yeah, like you said, we got some great veterans as well. It's not just us young guys. But, yeah, I think definitely we've gotten to a point where we can help out more. So, yeah, it's definitely a great group. So just very grateful to be a part of it.
With Kent Johnson, and you guys are playing for something here. I mean, it's obviously scoreboard watching every single night coming down the stretch. And you're right there with Montreal, with the Rangers. What has it been like for you to play in that kind of an atmosphere where every single game is so important, and you guys do have kind of a light at the end of the tunnel here that you're legitimately chasing a playoff spot on the line?
Yeah, I know, it's really fun. It's crazy. Like down the stretch here, we play almost every other night, and yeah, just the highs and lows, and a couple wins here, a couple losses and whatnot. It means so much. So, yeah, it's definitely really fun. Feels like playoff hockey. So, yeah, I can't complain.
So when you roll into Toronto, like you got JVR on your team, James Van Riemsdyk was a lifelong Leaf. He was, or not a lifelong Leaf, but a long-term Leaf. Loved playing here. He was one of the top 100 Leafs, right, Jonas? I'm pretty sure he was. He was on that list when they came out with it. That would have been 7-8 years ago.
Yep.
Do you ride with JVR when you get into a town like this? Like, what are who do you go out with for dinner tonight? Is it a veteran? Do the younger guys stick together? What's your plan tonight?
Yeah, we actually got a team dinner tonight. So yeah, pretty much everyone other than some guys, local guys got family and whatnot. So yeah, it's no tough decision there. It's full team tonight. So it's gonna be nice.
Yeah, tell JVR to get you to State and Liberty and pick up a new suit. Remember he hooked us up back in the day. He loves that place. Tell JVR to hook you up.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. Well, he's got like 70 suits. He barely has the same suit twice. So it's he said in Toronto he'd always get hooked up with good deals or freebies or whatever. So the benefit of playing in Toronto, I guess.
Absolutely.
Well, Ken, I remember when he played here, he had this backpack full of like vitamins and all these different things. Does he still carry that around?
Oh yeah, no, he's dialed in. So it's pretty funny. Guys always joke about that, but no, he's been awesome. I've gotten really close to him. It's been fun to get to know him and talk about old stories. From back in his days with the Leafs or Flyers or whatever, and then just such a great guy and great player still.
Talk about the effect of Dean Evason coming in, and there's a lot of obviously there's been a lot of teams that have had success, but we've talked on this show several times how he should be in the at least running for Coach of the Year, of how great he's got you guys playing together and changed the systems a little bit. How big of an effect has he had on your team and on you personally?
Yeah, no, obviously a massive effect. So yeah, I definitely think. Deservingly he's getting that talk, and so I mean, for me, obviously too, giving me a great opportunity off the start, and just I think understanding my game and how to get the most out of me. So it's been great.
Yeah, well, listen, we're looking forward to a barn burner tomorrow night. It seems like you guys score a lot of goals. It's been a lot of fun. You're playing with a lot of energy again. A lot of young players on this team, and you guys are chasing something, and obviously so are the Leafs as well. They're chasing that top seed in the Atlantic Division. So good luck tomorrow night. Enjoy the town tonight, and we'll do it again down the road. Thank you for this.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
You got it. There's Kent Johnson, and you look at it like Werenski is leading them in points. Zach Werenski is a guy that you could have Hart Trophy talks about him too. Like if you're going to throw Makar in there, Makar rides out there with McKinnon, and he had Rantanen for a long time, and he's got a great pair, and Devon Taves, and it's not about taking a shot at Makar. It's about lifting up Werenski. Like Werenski has got a point a game. Guy plays like 30 minutes a night, and he is a huge catalyst for them in terms of what they're doing. And Then you got Marchenko, you got Johnson, Fantilli's young, Voronkov's young, Sillinger's
Sillinger.
there. Yeah, they
Yeah.
got a lot of young players, good players, and it's just a matter of whether or not they can get to the finish line here because they're competing with the Habs and the Rangers right now.
Well, and like I was telling you guys earlier in the last hour, tomorrow's a big game for them, but then they've got 2 in a row against Ottawa. That's, you're chasing Ottawa. That's really the spot that you're trying to get into is Ottawa, Montreal type of area. So to me, it's a big 3 games in 4 nights for them. And, in 3 different cities, really. They've got, in Toronto, in Ottawa, and then back home on Tuesday in Columbus. So they got their work cut out for them. But I don't think, and Jonas, I don't know if you felt this, Brian, I'm sure we've discussed this several times. None of us saw Columbus in this position right now.
No.
None of us.
Absolutely not. And, that's the amazing thing. That's every season it happens. I think what's shocking is the Rangers and the Bruins are in the situation they're in. That the other side of Columbus and Montreal is the Rangers and the Bruins, where the Rangers won the President's Trophy a year ago, and they are fighting for their lives for a wild card spot. The Bruins, the Habs dismantled them last night. They've lost 10 in a row. They are horrendous.
But you look at their lineup, Hayes, and it kind of makes sense. They don't have their
they
guys
traded
are all
a lot
gone.
of pieces,
and other guys are
they
hurt.
got injuries.
Yeah, they're gone. It is, and you know what? At this point, not why
you might as well lose. No, you might as well lose.
Exactly. Like Pasternak, you're playing for pride, guys like that. But in the end, if you're losing and not making the playoffs, rightfully so, now Buffalo's leapfrogged them in the standings, then try to get to the bottom. Try and get a top pick and help the retool or however you're going to term it on the fly, because they're going to get Hampus Lindholm back next year. You're going to have a healthy McAvoy. You're going to have the goaltender right from day one and not messing around with a contract. They still have the framework, but gone are the big, like Marchand. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if Marchand resigned there on a value contract, maybe. Go back, try win a cup, and re-sign. But right now, tank. They need to lose every game, and they should, rightfully so, to try and get a better spot, because they're not making the playoffs. They're done.
You might as well go all in. Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not even close. They're almost mathematically eliminated. It's that bad. You've lost 10 in a row. It's done. You might as well lose 17 in a row and try to pick 2nd overall or 3rd overall.
Exactly.
Or win a lottery. Put yourself in a position to win the lottery, which is big. The Raptors losing last night basically solidified the position they're in. 7th from the bottom, that's where they're going to be. Because Portland is only a couple spots ahead of them. And I was looking it up because I was curious. I remember, they won a lottery when they picked Scotty Barnes. They moved up to the 4th pick. I believe they were 7th from the bottom that year. And they won the lottery. Their name came up immediately. They picked 4th. But it's top 4 in the NBA, right? It's the top 3 in the NHL. You can move up any of the top 4 spots in the NBA, so we kind of know where the Raptors are going to be now. Regardless of what they do the rest of the way, they've only got, I think, 6 games left. But 7th from the bottom, 7th best lottery odds. Go for it. Let's see what happens here. Because Cooper Flagg was announced the AP Player of the Year, only the 4th freshman that's ever happened to. 4th freshman all time, AP Player of the Year. That's how good Cooper Flagg is. So we'll see what happens with March Madness continuing this weekend as well, and all 4 1 seeds, and the Raptors continue to play as they just kind of cruise on the way home. But Warriors, big win last night. I don't know if you saw that, Jonas, but that was a great ball game. But Warriors beat the Lakers, went into LA and beat the Lakers last night, and we may see that series quickly in the playoffs. We're still figuring out exactly what's going to happen on both sides, the East and the West, in terms of seeding in the NBA. But Lakers are going, Warriors are going, and it's going to be fun to have that cooking in 2 weeks.
Has the negative, this is the wrong wording, but the negative media died down on LeBron? I felt like it was quite noisy the last one.
It was, and last week was a weird week, man. With him going on McAfee, the Stephen A. Smith goofiness of him going at it the way he was going at it. I think it has, and I think that's in the best interest of all of the parties. But, you look at the standings right now, Denver is ahead of the Lakers by a half game. The Lakers are in the 4 seed. The Warriors are in the 5 seed, and they're a game back of the Lakers and only a half game up on Memphis. So you got a scenario here where you could have Lakers Golden State in the first round.
That'd be great.
That could be a first round matchup, which would be incredible. But yeah, to answer your question, it has definitely quieted down, but it's LeBron. Something else will come up. I mean, last night he was talking about Jimmy Butler joining the Warriors, and people are bent out of shape. That sounded like LeBron was complaining, and I didn't necessarily read it that way. I think sometimes people are overly critical or analytical or overly sensitive to what LeBron says, but he was just speaking to the truth. Like, the Warriors went out and got Butler. That's improved them. That's helped them, and they're a really good team. Like, since the trade deadline, Golden State is one of the best teams in the NBA.
The Lakers did pretty good too with the trade.
Well, that's another thing that people have brought up.
They did.
You acquired Luka.
Luka.
Yeah. Now, Luka's.
I have a new rule,
by
the way, for the Jimmy Butler rule.
Yeah.
Just, you can do anything and people will just forget. No one remembers. Like, he just like quit on the team, but it's like now nobody remembers. He's playing great in Golden State. It's going great. He quit. He quit
on Miami. Went home.
They suspended him multiple times.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers. Gone.
Yep. You're right. And he'll help them lead to an NBA final.
And then he'll torch his way out of there. And
he's such a gamer, Jimmy.
Unreal.
And he completely quit on that team.
Quit on multiple teams.
Right. Yeah, that's true. You like. Does that baggage just disappear?
Yeah, no one remembers.
It is weird that way.
Some people will remember in, like, Miami. I'm sure Pat Riley's not going to forget, but you're right. Like, even when he returned to Miami, they didn't boo him.
Right.
Like, they were just kind of like, hey, Jimmy, what's up, man?
Glad you're gone. See, it's weird because, you bring it back to hockey a little bit. Like, Patrick Waugh going after Anthony Duclair, and then Duclair is now taking a lead. Like, there's just, like, I don't know. I'm just reading all this, and I'm obviously getting a lot of media coming out of and fan base coming out of the island. Like, you're just something's weird there. Like, and you hope that he's all right.
That's a rare situation where,
but it isn't rare where the coach
player
literally
leaves down the stretch, and he's got 3 years left on his deal with like a no trade clause for the first couple of years.
And there's tremendous history between Patrick and him because Patrick had him in junior.
Right.
Like, you would argue.
Parts,
you would argue that probably Patrick was behind him signing there. You would think, like, we probably went to Lou and said, I know this player, I've coached him to have success. So there's probably a long-standing history there, or there is a long-standing.
Yeah.
But it was just that whole scenario, just a weird, again, if he comes back and they make the playoffs or does something, I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but if he comes back, then it'll be forgotten. But right now, it's weird that he's left the team right now when it's dire straits for the
Islanders. You got a couple weeks left. Where are you going? All
Yeah.
right, time for you to tell us where Al's brother's hiding all week. 416-870-1050. 416-870-1050. The first caller through with the correct location wins a pair of tickets to see the Leafs and the Canadians, April 12th. What a game. Next Saturday night. Another chance to find Al's brother and win. Leaf ticket starts next week right here on OverDrive. I believe that's our final week of Find Al's brother. 416-870-1050. Brought to you by McAlpine Ford in Aurora, our family, the Ford family, and you. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, the Jays game is over down in New York, and the Mets have beaten the Blue Jays 5-0. So 5-3 now. It's all right. Mets, Juan Soto, your boy. I'm not sure he did anything.
He had
today.
a hit and an RBI.
He had a hit. Okay, Vladdy had 2 hits and a walk. There you go. What do you think of that, Jonas?
Does Vladdy have a home run yet?
He has not hit a home run
Does
yet.
Santander have a home run yet?
I don't believe he has hit one either.
That's pretty good if you're 5-3 and you're 2.
That's the whole thing. Your 2 power bats, like big bats, have not quite arrived yet in terms of the numbers, and you have a good. I think you have a good feeling that it's going to happen. And I think the most significant development is that George Springer had 2 more hits today, and Springer's been outstanding for them. Like he's got a slash line right now, 440, 517 on base, slugging 720. That's an OPS up over 1,200. And I get it; it's early in the year, but still. Like Springer, something's up with George, and that's a really positive development for him.
They needed that because he had such a rocky year last year. So
last couple of years, he's really struggled to the point where like we were having, will he make it through the year conversations? You know, like what's he going to look like? Can you play him every day anymore? He's got 2 years left on that deal, and it's big money. So credit to him. He's a proud guy. He's a champion, and George with 2 more hits today. So that's big for Springer. But more on that into the next hour. We'll continue to look at what's up with the Jays. Your Dodgers 8-0 to start the season.
We got to talk about that. I got to
Yes.
tell you something about that.
You got something?
Oh,
Because
yeah?
you were in LA
Yeah,
recently.
I was at the game, so I want to.
Oh, really?
Okay, so Jonas has got some up-close and personal stuff courtesy of Dodger Stadium, Shohei and the boys. So we'll get to that. Dear Hazy B coming up in about a half an hour as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.